who we are and what we do. And while we're doing that, if you'll just go down to the bottom in the chat and tell us who you are and where you're from, we would love to see that. So I'm Amber and I live in Ocala, Florida. I own a studio called The Training Tool where we do fitness, nutrition, and reformer Pilates. And like I said, I'm the host and I'm a certified nutrition coach. So I come to this session today with just that background of coaching people and helping them to understand some of the basics of nutrition. And I'll throw it over to Melissa now.
Hi, everybody. My name is Melissa Lane. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I've got 39 years in the fitness business, and for the past 20, I've been teaching full-time at the college level. I work at the University of North Georgia, and I teach nutrition for performance, exercise science, all that good stuff. And you can follow me on Melissa's Minute on Facebook, which is where we do short, sweet fitness, nutrition, health, wellness, anti-aging stuff. Amanda's up.
Amanda. Hi, I'm Amanda. Amanda Fear-Hiley, in case you're wondering. I live near Austin, Texas, and I see Loretta's on here. Hi, Loretta. I am a registered and licensed dietitian, been in that business for 25 years. Currently, I own my own nutrition counseling business, and I see patients one-on-one or in the group setting, do lots of talks like this. Love it. And then I also have a fitness background. I've been doing fitness for about 15 years, and currently I'm teaching group exercise classes at the local Y.
Awesome. Thanks, ladies, for being here. I'm looking forward to our session tonight, and I'm going to get this kicked off. So we are talking about supplements unplugged, talking about both supplements and whole foods and how that can help people with their performance. And that's our first question. What natural foods are best for boosting energy and performance? Melissa, I'm looking at you because you have the best answer.
Remember, we did not write these questions. Obviously, as far as energy goes, anything with a calorie in it is going to give you the energy to do your workout. So the very first thing I want to say right now is there is absolutely no research, especially for women, that show that going into a workout in a fasted state gives you any benefit in your workout whatsoever. That's where we get into the problem of there's a difference between burning fat for fuel and losing fat. All right. You got to be in a calorie deficit to lose the fat, even if you're burning fat in your workout. Yes, there are things that are going to help you with your workout, your calories, carbohydrates, fiber is going to help keep you regular. So you're not going to have to poop or go into your workout. Amber has a funny story to tell you. So you're not going to have to go into your workout feeling heavy, like you haven't used the restroom in 3 days. So fiber, carbohydrates are not bad for you. Amanda's going to talk about beet juice and nitric oxide, but go into your workout fueled with calories.
Okay, I guess that was my segue. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Any whole food, energy first. And then what I tell my athletes is to practice, right? So you are training for an event, or maybe you're just training to get better at your body pump class, right? And so you're going to eat something before that event or that class and say, I feel amazing. I think my performance was enhanced, or holy moly, that was not the right thing. That didn't agree with me and my energy tanked, right? So that's part of it. The other part is there is great research with certain components of foods. For instance, nitric oxide coming from beets is how they did the study. And Melissa hit it. It's like 500 milliliters. So that's quite a bit of beet juice, right? That's 16 ounces. And so when I'm giving out this information, I don't expect anybody to be making a smoothie out of beets. Maybe go for it. But what I would recommend, maybe the night before a hard workout or the meal before, just depending on how you can place it. How can I get beets or other foods with the same component, the nitric acid, which is going to help turn into nitric oxide and really, really help the vessels dilate and help you feel like it's a lot less work, right? And then there's also antioxidants and things like that. So foods, beets, arugula, carrots, foods like that in combination before a hard workout to see if that improves your performance. I've done it personally. I've recommended it. And there's a lot of beet fans out there, but if you're not, any kind of like root vegetable or spicy green, you're going to get some of those compounds in there that's really going to help improve that performance and perhaps energy, right? Energy is a feeling you get, but definitely recommend that.
And since Melissa threw me under the bus, no, I think it's really great. This actually goes along with what Amanda said with testing out what works for you prior to doing your exercise and whatever that is. I used to run and I ran a half marathon, and we were talking about figuring out when you need to eat your fiber so you don't have to go to the restroom when you are in the middle of a race. And trust me, it's not fun to be all hot and sweaty to try to get out of spandex and you're in the porta potty, which is horrendous anyway in itself. But also that made me think about when I was trying to figure out what to eat prior to my practice runs. And I made a really big mistake of eating oatmeal more than once and actually had to stop in the middle of my run and lie down because I thought I was going to be sick. And I was like, this is terrible. So that is so true, to figure out what's going to work for you, because sometimes you'll read these things and I'm thinking, oh, beets, whatever. I don't like beets, but other root vegetables I'd have to pick. But that's a great thing, because what might work for me may not work for Amanda, might be even worse for Melissa. So that was a great point to think about that.
Yeah, I would like to add that some people get a lot of energy, let's say from rice. And, it doesn't, like you said, it doesn't work for everybody. Rice will make me very tired. At one point I had heard like, oh, eat bananas, before some sort of like high energy workout. Made the mistake of eating a half a banana before swimming laps. And, it wasn't great, face down, swimming with a banana on your belly. So as far as like, eating foods too close to your workout too, that can be a huge factor. Also what you eat, because like in that case, like I wanted to burp bananas and I was feeling very nauseous, like you saying you had to lay down. I was feeling very nauseous and all I could think about was the banana on my stomach, wanting to come back, as opposed to, swimming and enjoying that. But it is interesting when you time your food to the amount of energy you feel, and also what someone else says, like, oh, this is the thing that I eat before a workout, or this is what I eat after. It may not make you feel that great. And Amanda touched on that, is like seeing how you feel, because energy is a feeling, and everybody processes food and digests it and processes it and uses it for energy in a different way.
Yeah, and this isn't part of the question, but I do kind of want to ask Amanda or Melissa, either one, if you guys have a suggestion of this. You mentioned, Danielle, the timing. So I know for me, I'm okay eating up to, 15, 20 minutes prior to my workout, but what does that look like for suggestions? Amanda, do you have a suggestion for timing for that? Or
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with research, and Melissa can probably speak to this as well, up to the 15-minute window. Like if you have a stomach of steel, and some people, bananas and rice are their favorite, right? 15 minutes, quick acting carb, 15 to 30 grams, which is like half of a banana, a third to 2/3 a cup of rice. Boom. That's your quick, fast, acting energy. You feel great. Other folks are like, no, thank you. I'm going to be nauseous for my workout. Then you start backing it up, ideally 2 hours to that 15 minutes closest to that workout. And then it's just going to depend. If it's 2 hours, you might be at a meal and still digesting that and using that energy. And then we talk about, if you can't eat within like a 15 to 30-minute window close to what you're doing, then do you need to start fueling with some type of electrolyte drink or a banana on the bike or whatever you're doing?
And there's actually, depending on what type of a workout you're doing, obviously, Amanda focused on your quick acting carbs for when you're doing endurance training. But if you're doing strength training, there's a ton of research from Andy Galpin that shows that your body might be more receptive to the amino acid leucine and other parts of your branched chain amino acids during your workout. So there's a ton of research where people are actually stopping and drinking a whey protein shake in the middle of their workout. Obviously, you don't want to break out a chicken sandwich or anything like that, but there's a ton of research on taking in protein during your workout.
Great.
Yeah. And I was also going to add that it's like the digestion. Some people metabolize food and have a quicker kind of gut motility, and some people it just takes a lot longer. I'm a person who I can feel full 4 to 6 hours after eating due to slow gut motility. So for me, if I have a meal or even a small snack, it has to be at least an hour before exercise, or else I'm feeling discomfort, just heaviness in my stomach. So that's where, again, the types of foods, also how fibrous they are, you know, just it's very much whole food is obviously the best way to get your nutrients, but how much you eat, when you eat, and how dense the foods are, like physically dense. You know.
Yeah, all of that counts in there. All right, how can whole foods aid in muscle recovery and growth, which hopefully we are all focused on, is growing those muscles? Melissa, you want to start?
Okay, so obviously we have to talk about protein, branched chain amino acids, specifically leucine, your bioavailability of your protein, and there's a ton of research that debunks the anabolic window for experienced weightlifters. So for experienced weightlifters, if you call yourself a weightlifter, if you say, I'm a weightlifter, and not just, yeah, I just started lifting weights. If you just started lifting weights, you have an anabolic window that you need to get your protein in within 30 to 45 minutes. But if your body knows that you are going to have protein throughout the day, the amount of protein that you take in throughout the entire day is more important than what you get immediately after your workout if you are an experienced weightlifter. You also look at how bioavailable that protein is. There's something called the Protein Digestibility Corrected Amino Acid Score, PDCAAS, and it ranks your proteins from 0 at the bottom to 100 at the top. And everybody always thought eggs were the highest they could go because out of your egg is your chicken. But back when this chart was developed and all the research was done, guess what was not around? Whey protein. So whey protein actually scores a 104 in this measurement. So that's extremely bioavailable to your body. You want to get your creatine in. Most people, unless they're eating a carnivore diet, cannot get enough creatine for what they need to build muscle. And we know there's a ton of research now for creatine and cognitive health. There's no truth to the matter that creatine makes you go bald. There's no loading phase needed. Oh yeah, Amber's making a face at me. There was a teeny tiny small study, I want to say like in 2009, of 12 lacrosse players. And there was a slight increase in their DHT. And when your DHT goes up, you go bald quicker, but that has been debunked. There was actually just a really big study that came out that debunked that. And then you have to get your leucine in because leucine signals mTOR. And so muscle recovery and growth are your amino acids, your creatine, your protein. Aim for 1 gram of protein per pound of desired body weight. Not what you currently weigh, but what you desire to weigh. That's a lot easier to do than the kilograms per weight, the grams per kilogram of body weight.
Amanda, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I think in taking that and saying, okay, now what do I eat? Right? I think you want to, and depending on your body weight, I like to use the 30 gram-ish mark per meal, right? Maybe 40, we still think, and I know science is like, what? And, we think we can absorb 30 to 40 at one time. So what does 30 grams of protein look like? And what are these branched chain amino acids? It's coming out of the protein from your food. You can get it in your whey supplement, but chicken, fish, it's just a type of amino acid, branched chain. So 30 grams, palm of your hand, 21, 25, right? So not like a ton at one time. So 30 grams times 3, I'm at 90, right? Have a snack that's 20, I'm at 110. I weigh more than 110, so I'm going to need another snack or another 30 somewhere in there, right? And I also, because this is kind of new, what I learned, I said I've been doing this for 25 years, and my brain is like, no, but we've been doing it this way for so long. Like, I think you only need 80 grams, not 120 or what, so I still do stepping stones. I'm like, let's start here and see if you're getting the results you want. And once again, kind of that feeling, I would say that I like the term, it made me feel proud. I've been weightlifting for a while, so I don't have this like super tight window for protein, but I personally feel better that if I'm having my protein after my workout within like an hour. I feel depleted. Maybe it's calorie, I don't know. Anyway, so once again, feel it just because you aren't fitting into a certain box. When do I want to eat to refuel? Because that's super important. 45-minute window is probably appropriate for most people, but if you have to wait, you have to wait. And then how do I make this make sense into what I'm eating? 30, 40 grams per meal, 20-ish grams per snack, which that's hard too. Like a Greek yogurt, maybe 15, maybe 25, and those ones. Anyways, so calculate. I know there's so many apps out there. Google does it super quick, or if you have a label, we're talking Whole Foods, so hopefully there aren't a lot of labels. But a protein exchange, 1 ounce of protein is 7 grams. So if you use a food scale or like a string cheese, that's 1 ounce. So once again, using Melissa's example, 1 pound per or 1 gram per pound of what I want to weigh, or if I feel like I'm at an ideal weight, then 200-pound guy, that's not 30 times 3 meals. That's a lot. It's a lot to get in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm a person who prefers, I'll be speaking on snacks. I don't really like heavy meals. Like snacks, more easy, quick fixes. I'm not a meal prep person, so I'll be your go-to person for the things that are like quicker, easier, lighter on your stomach. That's kind of like where I feel like that fits in for me. So like after to aid recovery, I will, even though it's not as many grams of protein as you're talking about, I mean, my favorite thing is like a Greek yogurt, throw in a little dash, like a little quick handful of oats, stir it up because I like texture, and that's lower in calories and sugar than like granola. I like some sort of texture. Add some fresh berries in there for antioxidants. And then if you want some nuts for some healthy fats, that for me would be, a small handful of almonds, not a fistful, just a small handful, or if you have walnuts or something that's not salted, you can add that. So I don't try and mix it all in that little cup because it's going to be overflowing. But it's one of those things that for me is light, easier to digest, and also super convenient. For me, if it requires meal prep, a lot of thought, cooking, it's not going to happen. And so I know if you have a busy schedule, or you're a person who just doesn't like to be in the kitchen, it's more important to do the right things, get the right nutrients, than it is to have 7 days of meals prepped and carry. It's not always easy though to carry them with you. So that's what I find works for me to think about recovery after a meal. I mean, after a workout.
And then I just wanted to add, because there was some really great information there. So one of the things that I do with nutrition coaching with my clients when it comes to protein, because even though, especially those of you who are on here that are in the fitness world, we know what protein is, but a lot of times clients are kind of confused about that. Like they think nuts are protein. I'm like, nuts are a fat first, Yep. So I always just go through this simple list of lean protein sources. It doesn't mean it's the only thing you can eat, but it just gives people kind of an idea. So you're looking at things like egg whites, whey protein, chicken, turkey, seafood, fish, lean pork, that would be something like pork chops or pork loin. So these are things that you can kind of give your clients if you're helping them understand how to aid in that muscle recovery and growth. These are some of the foods they can choose from to add that in. And as Danielle was talking about, if you've got somebody who really does not want to do the meal prep and the things like that, although at some point we do have to learn that to get it into our life, the whey protein, that's about the easiest way that you can get protein in post-workout. And as Melissa said, it's highly bioavailable, meaning your body is going to use it quickly. So that's one of the simplest things. And I just have like it's Ninja. It's a Ninja, like carry it with you little blender, and I just pack that baby full, and after my workout, blend it up, chug it down, off you go. So that's about as simple as you can get. So
Amber?
great info. Yes.
Sorry. Can I jump
Yep.
in for Joanne's question?
Yes, please do.
So I'm not a registered dietitian and I don't do math like Amber does math. Like when she said ounce to grams, I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I'm not a mathy either. I took algebra for dummies in college. When I look at my cottage cheese or my Greek yogurt or my protein bars, I look at the total number of calories in my serving. I wish I'm sitting right next to my refrigerator, but I finished my Greek yogurt yesterday and I finished my cottage cheese this morning. But like in my Greek yogurt, I get for 90 calories in one serving, maybe this is my cottage cheese, I get 13 grams of protein. So even though grams and calories are not relatable to each other, I always make sure that my protein is at least 10% of my total calories. When you look at most protein bars, I'm not talking energy bars, I'm not talking meal replacement bars, I'm talking protein bars. Most of them do not fulfill that because so many of their calories come from sugar. So the two that are my go-tos, and part of it is because of the way they taste. Bear Bells have like 200 calories in them pretty much straight across the board. And they have anywhere from 20 to 22 grams of protein. The other one is Built Bars. Built Bars are usually 180, 190 calories, and they usually have 20 plus grams of protein in them. So I make sure my 10% of protein is higher than what my calories are, if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, and to help with your math, because you did the math brilliantly, because I've never thought of it that way, so I love it. If you think about her cottage cheese example, 90 calories, 14 grams of protein, or whatever that was from the food. So double that. Now I have 180 calories and 28 grams of protein. That's your protein bar. So sticking around the 200-ish calories, hoping to get 20, 25 grams of protein. I just say that, or a protein shake for that, then you're limiting. You have to limit added any other gunk, whether it's sugar or a lot of fat or whatever, because if those two numbers, 200-ish calories, 25-ish protein, then everything else has to be lower. And by everything else, I mean probably added sugars, or maybe if it was like a keto bar and there was a ton of fat or something in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I eat a lot of small meals in my car on the way to clients. So it can be done without protein bars, just so
Yeah. Oh yeah, you
know.
never have to. I mean, this whole talk is like, let's talk food. So you can absolutely do all of this protein with food. It's been done. I have a ton of clients that are like, please, no, like I am anti-processed. Okay, then we work with it. You can do it either way, mix and match. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think, I'm going to reply to Sonia. I don't think I said if it comes from a crunchy package, don't eat it. That's actually a Sohaila remark. That is what Sohaila says, because I just say, my thing is if it starts with a capital letter, but I'm going to tell you, since I've gotten older and I have cut out my processed, I don't want to say processed. I've cut out my ultra processed junk foods totally and completely. At the end of the day, if my sweet tooth is talking to me, and it does talk to me pretty much at the end of every day, I have one Built bar, and that is my treat because gosh darn, they taste good. I'm looking up these Shakely bars right now. So
The next question, I just want to say this, because somebody asked a question in the chat and this is being recorded. So Melissa did answer it, but Melissa, I want you to talk about the creatine question because it ties in with this one when we get to you. So our next question is, what are the key nutrients for fitness and where can you find them naturally?
Amber, why don't you go ahead and start
I'm
this
going
one?
to say I can start with magnesium
Oh,
because I did
okay.
a whole session on this one. So actually, magnesium is a key nutrient that we need, and there are so many places where you can get magnesium in your diet. It's really great for so many things. It's actually part of over 300 different actions within our body, and that's one of the things that you need to remember is really important. But it also helps with things like our sleep, which you know that we're going to build muscle during our sleep time. It also helps reduce muscle soreness. It can help with inflammation, which, you know, we build inflammation when we work out. So this can help us with that recovery part. And you can get this from whole foods like Brazil nuts, pumpkin seeds. Pumpkin seeds, I try to tell my clients, like, add those to a salad, especially if you're somebody who likes crunchy, or to your yogurt or your cottage cheese. You know, that's a great thing to add some crunchies. Green vegetables are great to get your magnesium. Nuts, seeds, unprocessed grains, some legumes have them. Bananas, black beans, lentils, which also have some protein in them. Whole grains, almonds, cashews, these are great places that you can get your magnesium from dietary sources. So we also have many others. And just, you know, the RDA recommendations. So if you are a male, 19 to 30, the recommendation is 400. Amanda, is that 400 milligrams? Yeah, okay. I didn't have that in my notes. If you're a female, 19 to 30, it's 310 milligrams. And then for our 31 and up, men, it's 420 milligrams a day, and women, 320 milligrams a day is what you need. Melissa, you want to talk about creatine?
Can I tell you about these Shakely bars first, though?
Yes. Tell us about the Shakely bars.
Oh, did I pronounce it wrong?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's Shakely.
So I got the label for a banana bread pumpkin seed protein bar and the label for let me see what the other one is. Anyway, what do I like about them? The number one ingredient is pumpkin seed, which is an unsaturated fat. However, when you look at these calories, 280 calories in one bar, 12 grams of protein, and the second ingredient in both of these bars, anybody want to guess?
Sugar.
Maple syrup. Oh, wait, banana is the second one. Maple syrup is the third one. The fourth one is brown rice syrup. So syrup is contributing quite a few calories to these. Includes 4 grams of added sugar in the banana one. So 300 calories, and I'm only getting 12 grams of protein, kind of scares me. And you're right, Sonia, that was a while ago, because I think we can say the crinkly part has kind of, yeah, we've probably kind of changed our mind on the crinkly part, because, you know, you can buy broccoli in a bag now. Anyway, what was the question, Amber?
Oh, this question is, and then I'm going to just going along with what Melissa said. I did a really great video about a protein bar versus whole foods, and I matched the calories. I'm going to find that on my YouTube while she's answering this, and I'll put it in the chat. Melissa, the question is, what are the key nutrients for fitness and where can you find them naturally?
Well, I think you should base every single meal and snack on 2 things, and that's protein and fiber. If you're getting your fiber in, you're going to get your carbs, specifically your whole grains, your fruits, and your vegetables. I'm tired of potatoes getting a bad rap. Potatoes are an awesome food as long as you don't fry them. They have a great way of keeping you full. So Hayla laughs at me when I say satiety. She says that's not a word, but whatever.
It is.
They
It's
keep
a
you
word.
full. They keep you full. They have all your B vitamins. So I don't know whether you know this, but the age for your first colonoscopy has now dropped. It is no longer 50 anymore. It's 40. And that's because so many young people are getting colon cancer. And that's because of the ultra processed food that we're eating. We've got to eat our fiber. So every single meal, sit down and say, do I have my fiber? And if you have your fiber, you're building your gut biome. You're building all that good bacteria. Try and get 30 different types of fiber every week. 30 different types. That's about 5 different types per day. It can be done. Okay. And then also look at your protein. You're going to have some fat in there, and that's perfectly fine. Your protein is going to help you build your muscle. The carbs that comes with your fiber is going to give you your muscle glycogen to help you do your to help you do your endurance sports. And then I think we have to look at the health of your brain and talk about your omega-3s, including your DHA and your EPA. And Amanda and I were doing a little research before we started, and EPA and DHA can actually be measured by something called your omega-3 index, and it measures the amount of those two omega-3s that are in the phospholipid of a red blood cell. And you want it to be 8% of everything else that's in a red blood cell. Those keep your brain sharp, and you need your brain to be sharp during your workout. You don't want to drop your weight on your toe. You need your brain to be just as sharp as your body. Okay, I'm done.
I think that's really great about the potatoes because we go through different times where this food's in, this food's out, this is bad for you, this is good for you. And it's always flip-flopping around. And that's why I appreciate your research, Melissa, because you keep up with it. You're not using outdated material that comes from, well, you could say 3, 5 years ago, but things change now even more quickly than that. But all your information is based on research from the best people. So I always value all of that. I was going to say with the carbohydrates, some really basic go-tos are brown rice and oats. And I would say a lot of people also think bread's a bad thing, but if you have like flaxseed bread, and you don't, put a lot of stuff on it, like you can just eat it. If you're wanting to get those healthy fats that are also contain like antioxidants that will help like with joints, you can find some with like the flaxseed is really good. So if you find ones with like healthy nuts and seeds, or like seeds is what I mean, like the seeds, um, I wouldn't outlaw some whole grain bread in your diet. And then the healthy fats that you can still get are like from avocados and salmon, while you're like avocado in moderation. I'm not talking like a whole guacamole where you're eating chips with it, but a slice of avocado, a couple slices on your salad or with your meat is really nice. And add some walnuts to your salad. Again, not like the candied ones, but just talking like add some crunch, add some things. And salmon is a great way to get the protein that you need while also introducing healthy fats that are good for you.
Amanda, what would you like to add?
Repeat the question, please.
Sure. What are the key nutrients for fitness and where can you find them naturally?
Oh my gosh, we could talk all day, but we won't. Key nutrients for fitness, all the above. I think what hasn't been said or maybe highlighted a little bit more that I like to speak to is at some point we said the stress of exercise. Like it's great. It's like building stress resilience. It's an amazing thing, but it is stress. So then you talk about the antioxidants from your food to rebuild and help your body recover and go again. And there is research on certain foods like blueberries, right? Where their potential on the neuron level, like crazy, like neurologically can help you fight stress, and then in the gut, inflammation, in the brain, right? So there's no perfect food, but if you start looking at foods that are really powerful for recovery, or just carbohydrates, we love carbohydrates, right? And fiber. So I just want to also highlight an antioxidant type food, which is going to be a brightly colored fruit or vegetable, including some whole grains and the dark legumes like, black beans, etc. And then fiber, you may or may not know what it is. Sometimes I talk about it and then take 2 steps back and I'm like, wait a minute, do you guys know, and they're like, no, I don't really know where you get fiber from. So fiber is the part of a plant that you cannot break down. Okay. You can sometimes see it used like the skin on the apple or the oats when they gel up. That's the soluble. They're soluble, insoluble. You need both. So colorful stuff, fruits, vegetables, whole grains are going to help you get in that 30 grams per day, right? On the plate. And then I love using starchy vegetables as my carbohydrate because it's a win-win. You're getting so many more nutrients out of your potatoes and your corn and your peas and your legumes than you would be out of, I'm not a hater of white bread because I have kids, but right, if it's stripped down and it looks super white and your plate's all white, rethink even like a mashed potato, which we make in my house, but keep the skin on there. The kids still complain, but keep it on there. They'll eat it. So I think that, and the omega-3, the salmon's great, but you can do a lot of fatty fish like the tuna, the mackerel, like tin fish is like cool again. I don't know. You guys do tin fish? I said that. I don't believe it yet, but mackerel, sardines, like the omega-3, the fatty acids in these fish, trout, catfish. There's a big list, mahi. So yeah, I love salmon, but if you're like, I don't know, like broaden your horizons.
Amanda, Amber, can I say something?
Yeah.
So Amanda was talking about the fiber, and there is a researcher. He goes by the name Dr. Diego because nobody can pronounce his last name. I'll put the research in the chat box. But he has the science of fiber and nutrition in your gut biome. And you guys all know that you start your gut biome by eating your fermented foods. So your kimchi, your kombucha, your sauerkraut, we all know that. You feed your gut biome with fiber. Well, his research is actually showing that fiber can trigger your gut microbiome to actually make your non-essential fatty acids. So remember, essential fatty acids are ones that you have to eat. You cannot make them. And that includes your branched chain amino acids. And then your non-essential amino acids are one that your body can make. And fiber in your gut biome seems to trigger the non-essential amino acids. So even though people focus on building muscle with leucine, isoleucine, and valine, you actually have to have all 20 of your amino acids present in your body to build muscle. So there is some research that fiber can actually help with your protein intake.
Cool.
Awesome. R. Davis, as he or she said, I've been using hemp seeds in my smoothies. Are they helpful for anything? Remember, nuts and seeds have healthy fats in them. So, Amanda, what else?
Yeah, it's a great omega-3 source. I just looked this up the other day for a client and now I'm like, poof. So we were looking at chia seeds, flax seeds, and hemp. They were like, which one? And I am like lover of all, right? You really ideally shouldn't hone in on just hemp seeds. They're phenomenal. But what I'm saying is variety, because hemp seeds might have, and I think when we looked at it, maybe more, I don't remember, protein, I think, a little less fiber than like a flaxseed or so there's different ratios of fiber versus omega-3. End of the day, eat a seed, whatever it is, and enjoy it. Continue on. Hemp seeds are amazing for all of that. But if you're like, okay, now I'm bored, then try chia seeds, or now I'm bored again, try pepitas, because you're going to get a lot of trace minerals from these whole foods that, as we know, or if, as we're learning, you're not going to get when there's something that's been processed, is all stripped out. So yeah, continue with the hemp seeds. Love it.
Yeah, and Amanda, I like how you're saying, like, okay, don't just focus on salmon, eat all the fish, branch out. It's like that with the seeds. It's like you don't have to focus on just one. And our body loves variety. And like you said, each thing that we eat provides different sources and of nutrients and also in different ratios. So the more variety that you have, maybe the more complete nutrition that you would have. where if you just stick to the same thing, you may be missing something, and your body may like the variety. And again, it will affect your energy and how you feel. Right. So if you're feeling like you feel like you're okay and you start adding other things in, you might notice such a positive change in your cognition, your energy levels, your sleep. Foods are the amazing resource that is here naturally for us.
All right, our next question, how can athletes balance supplements with a whole food diet? And I think this is important for us to talk a little bit about. Do we of course we're encouraging people to have more of a whole food diet, but do people sometimes need supplements? What do you think about that, Amanda?
And I know we're not sure where these questions came from. A supplement's like a whey protein supplement, or like I'm gonna take a multivitamin. Do we have
You could do both. Yeah, I would say include all of that
Yeah.
in there.
So my first thought was going back to the protein supplement, and I still I think it's a great recommendation. I'm like 80-20 with eating, like life. Like this is sustainability. And if I am, let me go to the best store out there, everything is organic, my price is $5 million and now I'm broke and it was delicious for 2 meals, that's not sustainable, right? If I'm eating everything that's processed, it's not sustainable even if it's cheap because you feel like crap, right? So if I'm looking at lifestyle, right? And we've heard like you may want to bring your bullet and use yogurt because that's a great protein source, or cottage cheese. You might say, heck no, I love vanilla caramel cream and that's the only way I'm going to get my protein in. Go for it, right? Just be sure that when you're looking at your day, it's not all vanilla caramel cream that's been touched by a machine versus something that has been less touched by man's hands. Like if you think about the processing of it, the less processed typically the better, but leave room to like live life and enjoy what you're having. So that's food, in my opinion. Supplements like vitamins, minerals, creatine, which I don't think we actually answered that verbally. Amber was asking us about the creatine question, so we'll get there. It's a huge can of worms because they are not regulated by the FDA, right? So I'm going to go and buy the best multivitamin out there because someone said that it's the best one. Is it? It's third-party tested. Maybe it's made somewhere where it's not, and there's fillers in there, like maybe you can't have gluten, so there's so many different reasons to read the label and be comfortable with your choice. I also am a realist though, and say, even personally, I know that despite my best efforts, there are days where I'm like, oh, that was a good day eating. And there's days like, no, I was in my car the whole time. Like I had 2 protein bars today and that like, ugh, right? So personally, like, and no, there's no, there's no magic, whatever. Multivitamin, probiotic, fish oil. Like those are my pretty standard. And I do take a magnesium at night. That's me, right? And if I'm talking to you, that might never be you, or that might be exactly where we started, right? And that might not be till we do 6 months of nutrition counseling where I can get a good handle and you can get a good handle on what your daily intake looks like. I think we live in an awesome world with all these awesome things, but you kind of have to take a step back and figure out what's going to fuel you the best, budget wise, and then obviously safety concerns of where it's being made and what's in it, et cetera.
Let's go back and do real quick the creatine question that we didn't answer out loud. If you're not familiar with Darren Candell, he is by all means your best current creatine researcher, Candow. He did a really impressive study where he did a group with 2 grams of creatine versus 4 grams of creatine versus 10 grams per day. The 10 grams made a major difference in brain and bone health, and the 10 grams made a major difference in how much people were knocking out in their later sets. Because remember, creatine is more beneficial in your fast twitch type 2 fibers. We usually cannot get that much from eating a regular diet, okay? Let's go back to the supplement versus real food. The more I listen to people that are researching supplements, I totally completely agree with what Amanda says. I sleep really well, so I don't do the magnesium at night, But I think the things that I am really looking into, because type 2 diabetes runs in my family very heavily, the berberine, the research on the plant berberine and insulin sensitivity, Amanda's nodding her head. It's there and it's looking positive, and I'm sure there's more to come. And there is another plant called Rhodiola rosea. Rhodiola rosea. It is an adaptogen for your stress levels. Specifically, it can change your heart rate variability and make it more positive. So those are two new things that are up and coming, and you can only get them from plants. So unless you live in Asia or Europe, you're probably not going to go out and get the plant. So again, like Amanda said, third-party tested for your supplements.
All right, quick, we're going to finish up, and I want each of you to give me your best tip for our last question. How can fitness enthusiasts easily incorporate nutrient-dense foods into their meals? And my coaching tip for you is going to be you must plan ahead and maybe do a little bit of pre-cooking. Melissa?
I want to go last. I'm thinking.
Oh, okay. Amanda?
How can we easily tell me the question again. I was reading, there's a question on creatine levels go up naturally when we work out. So do we need that supplement? And then I was pondering that. My apologies. That was a quick question.
Oh, we'll answer that since you just read that out. You and Melissa can.
Yeah, I'm on the fence on creatine. I love the studies. I'm looking at what else helps the same way that creatine does. I agree. You can only get like 0.5 grams in like a 3-ounce piece of meat. And if we're talking 5 to 10 grams in the supplement or needed per the research, I'm not sure yet about my total recommendation on creatine supplements. Obviously the research is there, but this question, I don't know how to answer that one. Our creatine levels goes up naturally. So would we need a supplement? Melissa?
Your creatine only goes up naturally when you're working in that energy system and you need it to replenish what you just built, because creatine is like the inside of a firework. And when you light the firework and it explodes, you lose that powder, and that's what your creatine is. And then your body makes more. But creatine plays such a major role in both acute recovery and chronic recovery. So if you're doing intervals, acute recovery down here and chronic intervals at the end, you're not lifting weights while you're using it in your chronic recovery. So the research is out there for brain, bone, and muscle health. And that's probably the one that I'm going to adamantly stick to my guns about.
Love it. Okay, so the answer is I thought of it because I use this a lot, and helping people meal plan 2 to 3 food groups minimum. Like you do not have to get fancy, but you're not going to make a great meal out of just eating chicken or out of just having a big stalk of broccoli. Like no, like you need the food to work together to get different components that we've talked about. So when you're planning meal or snack, minimum 2, if not 3, and then more food groups depending on, the size of your meal.
That's a great tip, Amanda. I like that. My one tip would be whether you start your day or you have it in the afternoon, get a lot of nutrition. Like nutrient dense. Get that bullet or what did you call it, Amber? What do you have?
It's a ninja. It's a ninja blender.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm like, okay, pack it with coconut water, berries. Spinach is my favorite because that's a way to get a lot of spinach while hiding it a little bit. So some berries, some whey protein. If you want a little small scoop of almond butter or cashew butter, but even doing coconut water if you have it. But with that whey protein, you can get in your berries, your greens, a little bit of nut butter, your whey protein, and just drink that. It's like a powerhouse.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies, so much. Chris, do we have a video to end today? I think we might have a quick little video, but we appreciate all of you. Okay, we appreciate all of you tuning in. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're going to leave you with these great thoughts. Hope to see you in Atlanta Mania. everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.